deserves. The resume that he's had, and as we take a look at the welterweight division, I mean, when you talk about it, obviously the top two guys in that division, when you look at Errol Spence Jr. with unified welterweight champion, and then you look at Terrence Crawford, another champion, Manny Pacquiao,
well,
as
the eighth wonder of the world, the division world champion, Manny Pacquiao, who at 40 years of age continues to fight at a high level, along with handling business as a senator in the Philippines as well.
Sean Porter has fought both Danny Garcia and Errol Spence. Keith Thurman has fought Danny Garcia. Then you got, obviously, Danny Garcia himself, your Dennis Ugas, Jamal James. We talked about this, right? I mean, this division is loaded from top to bottom. There's so many great welterweights in this division, and to be the king of this division, I mean, that just shows you the talent that Errol Spence is.
Both men are extremely focused heading into this matchup. We have been around both guys for many, many years, and this is literally not just to set up the fight, but this is the absolute truth. I have literally not seen the level of focus on both men's behalf ever in their careers. They've gotten to that next level of focus.
1,000%. And no one's looking ahead. You know, when we look at fights, people talk about, oh, you know, if he beats this guy, then there's this fight ahead. I think, and Errol has said it, Danny has said it, there's no looking ahead. They are completely 100% zoned in on this fight and this fight alone. There is no looking ahead past Danny Garcia or Errol Spence for both of these guys.
When this place is packed to what capacity could be under the current COVID-19 rules, because of the fact that we are continuing to deal with COVID-19 here in the United States and throughout the world, there is limited fans in attendance. They've capped it at 16,000. So that is what is being implemented. So social distancing is in effect. You have to wear your masks when you're here watching the fight. So this place, Miguel, if this wasn't in the COVID era, I would say that this fight between Errol Spence and Danny Garcia would probably have drawn 50,000 plus if it wasn't due to COVID-19.
I mean, you saw Mikey Garcia, Errol Spence draw close to that, Ray, and I believe Danny Garcia, Errol Spence. Danny Garcia presents, I think, bigger problems for Errol Spence. He's got more power than Mikey Garcia. He's got great defense. He doesn't get hit a lot. He's one of the best welterweights in the sense of he doesn't get shots landed on him all that much. And he poses a very difficult test, a different test than Errol Spence has faced in his career.
Well, Errol Spence is known as a calculated and a deliberate starter. Danny Garcia, his Achilles heel is he's been a slow starter. That happened against Keith Thurman, that happened against Sean Porter. But the emphasis, you wonder, is Danny Garcia going to start a lot faster? Is he going to get out of the realm of what he typically does, or is he going to remain patient and wait for that moment?
And we've seen it, Ray, in his losses that he's had to top competition in Sean Porter and Keith Thurman. He has started slow, and that eventually, in these type of fights where it is separated by maybe 1 or 2 rounds, those 1 or 2 rounds may come from the first 3 rounds of the fight. And you have to continue. We've seen it this year, like I said earlier in the broadcast, Ray, we've seen it this year happen where champs lose their belts because they started slow and they don't pick it up till the 5th or 6th round. You cannot, and this is for both guys, you cannot do that and give away rounds because both Spence and Garcia are so dangerous that you can't afford to just give away rounds.
Well, this place is as packed as it could be under the new world in which we are living in of COVID-19. We wish all of you a happy holidays wherever you're joining us around the world. Ray Flores, Miguel Flores. Also, we wish all of you, and we continue to hope that everyone is safe and sound, and we will hopefully get past this worldwide pandemic. But right now, we are getting ready to watch an elite prize fight between 2 guys in the primes of their careers, getting ready to test one another. Their focus is probably the best it's ever been, Miguel, because they know the kind of level of opposition that will be standing across the ring from the other.
You can't play, Ray. Boxing is not a sport that you can play with. As you know, when you look at Errol Spence and he's a guy that he loves fighting here in his home state of Texas. As we take a look at the tail of the tape, Ray, I mean, it's pretty even. Spence obviously has a slightly bigger reach. He is undefeated compared to the 2 losses of Danny Garcia. Garcia, 2 years older. But the key factor that everyone has been waiting to see, Ray, is what Spence is going to look like. How are we going to see him come out? How is he going to be able to take a punch? Does he still have that rock-solid chin that he's had throughout his entire career? We're going to find out very soon.
Well, we are getting ready to go ahead and await our main event of the evening between Errol Spence and Danny Garcia. Danny Garcia is giving away an inch and a half from a height standpoint and the reach advantage in favor of Errol Spence Jr. In the stadium, they are showing a pre-fight package to get you ready for this main event. Errol Spence and Danny Garcia, and here is the Philadelphia native. He has been a professional for over 13 years. He's trained by his father, Angel Garcia. He's of Puerto Rican descent. And Danny Garcia coming out to Jay-Z with the theme being allow myself to introduce myself. I got that wrong, but essentially what he's saying,
Come on, Ray, you don't know your Jay-Z?
well, listen, what I do know is I know boxing. And I can tell you that Danny Garcia has dynamite in both hands. Danny Garcia is focused. He is determined. And this guy has fought at the highest level for over 8 years.
He knows this is a legacy fight for him, Ray. The 2 big fights that he's had, he's come out on the short end. No matter what you say, whether he should have won or lost, you know, in some of those fights, it was a loss. And that sticks with him. And he knows he is ever so close to being considered the top and pretty much being a shoo-in to the Hall of Fame. This is a legacy fight for Danny Garcia, and he's looking to make everyone in his Puerto Rico as well as Philadelphia proud and call himself a champion once again.
Danny Garcia in enemy territory, getting booed by the legions of Errol Spence fans, but he said that it's going to be even that much sweeter when he captures the welterweight championship of the world. And now we await the champion. And here is Errol Spence Jr., who is making his return to the ring after a layoff of 434 days. He said he is the most focused that he's ever been in his professional career, that have put things into perspective as to what really matters. He is one of the most lethal finishers in all of prize fighting. He had a stellar 2019 with the win over Mikey Garcia and Sean Porter. He said he's back, he's got a smile, and after that horrific car accident, he's headlining here at AT&T Stadium as the fans show them their support for the hometown son in Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr. is the kind of fighter who wants to be known as an all-time great. In order to do that, he's got to beat a fighter of the caliber of Danny Garcia. dreams of headlining a main event in here at AT&T Stadium. He joins Manny Pacquiao as being just the second fighter to headline multiple times here at AT&T Stadium. Can he get another signature victory over Danny Garcia as Errol Spence Jr. returns to the ring here tonight?
What a fight we have lined up here, Ray. Spence, 14 months off, like you just said. We thought when we first heard about the accident that he was never going to fight again. We were never going to see Errol Spence in the ring. What a recovery he's made. It's been a long road, long journey. But again, here in his home state, he said it's a Jimmy Leonard Jr.
Spectacular AT&T Stadium here in Arlington, Texas, as Premier Boxing Champions presents the featured bout of the evening, promoted by TGB Promotions, Man Down Promotions, and DSG Promotions, as sponsored by proper number 12 Irish whiskey, the finest, the tastiest, the smoothest liquid gold in the world, and O'Reilly Auto Parts. Order your parts online at O'ReillyAuto.com and get free curbside pickup. This bout is sanctioned by the WBC. The president in attendance, Mauricio Suleiman. Along with the IBF, the president is Darrell Peoples. Judging at ringside, Tim Cheatham, Barry Lindemann, and Steve Weisfeld. All right, fans, here we go with the main event of the evening. 12 rounds of boxing with a highly anticipated showdown between a battle of pound-for-pound greats for the unified WBC and IBF welterweight championship of the world. And now, ladies and gentlemen in attendance, and boxing fans joining us around the world, live from AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, it's time for the main event of the evening. Introducing to you first, the challenger on my left, fighting out of the red corner, wearing purple trunks with white trim, fighting out of and representing his home of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He weighed in at 146 3/4 pounds. His record stands at 36 wins, 2 losses, with 21 wins coming by way of knockout. In his 10th world title appearance, and having captured the unified super lightweight and welterweight titles, tonight he attempts to regain and reclaim the welterweight crown. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the renowned, top-rated world contender, the acclaimed former 2-division champion of the world, introducing Danny Swift Garcia. And his opponent across the ring is the defending world champion, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black trunks with paint trim, fighting out of and proudly representing Dallas, Texas. He weighed in at a ready 146 1/2 pounds. Truly one of the stars of boxing and pound-for-pound greats. He is undefeated in his campaign in the ring with a record of 26 wins, no losses, 21 wins coming by way of knockout. Tonight, in a remarkable return to the ring, he is making his 5th world title appearance. Defense of his title, ladies and gentlemen, here is the former U.S. Olympian and current sensational, reigning and defending undefeated WBC and IBF welterweight champion of the world, introducing the truth, Errol Spence Jr. Our referee in charge now to give instructions, Thomas Taylor.
Okay, corner. Trunks are a little high, so I'm going to give him to the middle of the letters here. He's also going to get to the middle of the letters here, okay? Trunks are a little high. I gave you instructions in the back, gentlemen. Protect yourselves at all times and listen to my commands. Touch them up. Back to your corner, gentlemen.
It is our main event of the evening. Thomas Taylor, referee in charge. Errol Spence Jr. back in the ring. after over 14 months, including that horrific car accident, Danny Garcia looking to once again put championship gold around his waist. The welterweight championship of the world is on the line. Can Errol Spence Jr. remain undefeated and further his legacy? We are underway here at AT&T Stadium in Arlington.
And right here, Ray, I think everyone is as intrigued as you and I when we talk about the early rounds. How will Errol react? How does he look? How can he take a punch? We're about to find out.
Ray Flores, Miguel Flores, ringside here at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Honored to be with all of you for this welterweight showdown between two elite prize fighters in their physical primes.
And typically in these tight fights, Ray, especially when you look at it from the perspective of Danny Garcia, sometimes you're going to have to do something that you may not be comfortable with or you haven't done it in your entire career. And you said it, he started slow before, and he's been able to make, win bouts that way. But this is a fight that he may need to change that up against a guy like Errol Spence and start right from the gate.
Danny Garcia went to the body against Errol Spence moments ago. But Danny's coming forward now. You saw Errol go forward in the first few moments of the fight. Now Danny is going forward. It all depends on who can control the center of that ring. I could see a variety of different things playing out, but right now the jab right in the abdomen by Errol Spence. And Errol Spence is notoriously a very strong body puncher. He demonstrated that against Chris Algieri back in April of 2016, and that was in the line of his 11 straight finishes from 2014 through 2018.
It's a good body shot by Danny.
Good body work as Danny looking to land that left hook. He proved that against Eric Morales back in 2012. Overhand left by Errol Spence. Coming up on 65 seconds to go in the opening round.
And one thing that makes Errol so great is that he's an aggressive fighter. He's not a guy who you have to bring the fight to Errol. You got to let him know that you're here. You got to make your impact known.
So far, this is pretty much played out, and there's a straight left, and Danny backed up momentarily. There's a double right hand that connected, a lead right hand by Danny Garcia. Both men are finding their targets in spurts in this first round.
I know it's early, but Errol looks, like you said, Ray, sharp. There hasn't been much of a difference from the last time we saw him in the ring.
They pretty much look exactly as they have been over the course of their careers when it comes to the first round.
Exactly. That was a nice first round by Errol as we look at the sharp jab that clocked Danny Garcia, stopped him in his tracks right there. And then here's the body shot right here, Ray. Digging in.
But Danny Garcia would retaliate with the right over the top, testing the chin of Errol Spence. He didn't land flush, though.
He didn't land flush, but he got the chin, and Errol took it well. I mean, we've known this about Errol. Pre-accident, it was, he's had one of the best chins in the sport. He's been clocked a couple of times by guys like Sean Porter, Mikey Garcia, and he's taken them very well. And there was another one. Like you said, it wasn't flush. It wasn't a full Danny Garcia power shot, but it was a good test right there just to see how he is since the accident.
Round number 2, this one is scheduled for 12 for the IBF and the WBC welterweight championships of the world. Errol Spence has held on to that IBF crown for nearly 1,300 days. He won it in May of 2017 by smashing Kell Brook in the UK. On his hometown, Danny Garcia looking to take away the world title in the hometown of Errol Spence Jr.
Right now, Ray, we're seeing Errol come out in the first 2 rounds, and he's established the center of the ring. He is cutting it off and making it very difficult for Danny to operate and move around. that was the key factor that we were going to watch. One of the key factors we were going to watch in this fight is who was going to command the ring, who was going to come out. And so far, Errol has commanded the ring in the first round and in the first minute of this second round.
But also, Danny Garcia is a pinpoint counterpuncher. And that is something that he has made as a part of his calling card over the course of his professional career. He has 21 knockouts out of 36 victories, a knockout percentage of over 50% for Danny Garcia.
That was a nice left by Errol over the top, getting through the defense of Danny. And as we talked about, Danny's got really good defense. Doesn't get hit much here in this division.
Well, Errol Spence, I don't think there seems to be any ill effects, at least thus far. In the first round and a half, there's a straight left that clocked Danny Garcia. But Garcia comes back. Let's not forget, neither man has ever been down over the course of their professional careers.
Well, according to CompuBox and our guy Dan Canobio, Errol Spence, he's tops in the welterweight division with power punches landed.
48% of his power connects is what he connects upon. Under a minute to go here in the second round. It is a calculated start to this welterweight championship affair between Errol Spence Jr. and Danny Garcia.
So far, Errol has looked sharp. Danny is just kind of waiting, looking for his shots countering, and that was a big one right just missed.
He swung for the fences. Errol a little off balance, but Danny Garcia coming forward. We'll see if Danny decides to be a little more aggressive, and now they tie up. Thomas Taylor, quality referee, letting them fight out of the break. Now they tie up again. Danny Garcia's been a pro for over 13 years. Errol Spence a pro for over 8 years. Final moments of the second.
Danny trying to go to the body. And that's one thing Sean did a very nice job in their last.
There was a left hook at the end of the second. Errol Spence felt it was late. And Errol sort of wiped it off as to say, that's it.
That's one of the things that people looked was how the chin was going to be. And I think Errol's heard the talk. And he wants to prove to everyone, I'm back and I'm better than ever.
And here is the end. And there was that little left. And Errol looks at him like, are you serious, man? And look at this. He just kind of brushes it off. He wipes it off like nothing. Listen to the corner with Errol Spence.
Stay control. What are you doing? That's how you do it. That's it. Don't go away from the jab. The jab don't go to anybody else. Don't be using too much either.
Okay, mouthpiece. 3.
Well, so far, at least as we go ahead and enter into the third round, it appears as if both men are following what typically has been the case over their professional careers. Errol comes out, wins the early rounds. Danny willing to sort of be a part of this feeling out process. So Danny Garcia isn't really changing who he is, at least in the first 2 rounds and change, Miguel.
And I think that's gotta be the difference, Ray. If you're Danny, like I said before this fight, sometimes you're going to have to do things that you've never done in your career. And that is starting early, and Danny Garcia did not do that. And there we go. That's a good start for Danny, and I think that's where he's got to start now. Round 3, here it is. It's time to go.
Well, a little bit of a slip there by Danny Garcia. Much to the fans giving their dismay here. Largely, I think it is like 99% in favor of Errol Spence Jr.
I mean, there's no Eagles fans here, right?
None whatsoever that I have seen. This is Dallas Cowboy country, and this is Errol Spence country. Thomas Taylor warning Danny about pushing the head down. So far, though, we haven't seen any. Oh, there's a big straight left that backed up Danny Garcia. Errol Spence clocked Garcia.
He certainly got him with the body shot, Ray, but I don't know if he got his feet tangled up for the off-balance shot.
There's a right by Danny Garcia. Oh, boy.
And I think the fight has officially begun, Ray.
Well, they are mixing it up. We knew Angel Garcia The father and trainer of Danny Garcia told me as we're just over the halfway mark, I anticipate my son to engage counters right now. The action is intensifying here in the third round. The most action-packed round thus far in the fight. Couple of lefts as Danny bending over and Thomas Taylor letting them fight.
And you can see there is no, I think Errol has answered all the questions. There's been no hesitation whatsoever in how he is starting this fight out and how he's going to fight this fight.
Tense moments here in the third round. Errol Spence and Danny Garcia are starting to let the leather fly during this welterweight championship matchup. And there is a cut now on Danny Garcia on the bridge of the nose, it would appear.
We are going to go into the corner and listen to Angel Garcia here after 3 rounds. See what he says to his son.
Top of the nose.
Not the rope, Chad. You want the rope, not the rope. You heard me? Not the rope, just breathe. No, a little cut, like a scratch. It's a little baby scratch. Listen.
Just so you know, he's got a cut on top of the nose. I ruled it from a punch.
Okay? You dipping and slipping, make him pay them. You giving him too much confidence. Back him the fuck off. Be smart, Danny. Don't jump
You guys
out.
know this cut is from a punch.
Yeah.
Top of the nose, okay?
Danny, it's not a cut, Danny. It's a baby.
Don't worry about
It's a
it.
baby nothing. But let's stop on that.
I got it.
What you waiting for?
I know.
Danny,
It's in here.
Danny, don't jump straight back. Okay? Keep circling on him, Danny. You gotta make him pay when he throws go under and work with him. Okay? You give him too much respect. Keep your hands up. Focus this pussy up, Danny.
Yeah, that cut's nothing, Brian, and Angel's right. I don't think it's a factor at all.
Yeah, there's still a lot of talk about cut. There's a cut. There's a cut. Like, oh, where?
But I'll tell you what. What's more threatening than that cut is the way Errol Spence is putting on pressure right now.
Yeah. And look, Errol Spence outlanding Danny Garcia only 10-9. And again, that's not the norm.
Yeah.
Let's go to Larry Hazard right now, see how he scores the first 3 rounds. Larry, how do you have it?
Well, you guys are doing a great job of analyzing this thing. I got Spence ahead, 30-27. Danny Garcia is going to have to take a page out of Sean Porter's book and jump on top of Spence and take this fight into the trenches if he expects to win. Right now, Spence is having his way. I got him 3 rounds to 0 going on.
Larry, thank you very much. Yeah, look, that could be definitely the way. Possibly second round to go to Garcia. Joe Lennox, would you have any rounds going to Danny so far?
Not now. Like I said, Spence is controlling the fight with his jab, and he's controlling the distance, and he's throwing good combinations. When you step in with the jab like that, Danny Garcia is just moving around. He's trying to find a way to counterpunch.
Good hook there by Garcia, at least landed slightly on the side. And there's a body shot, little right hand to the body and then the head.
To answer your question, it's hard to ever argue with Larry Hazard, and I completely agree with him. It's right now with Sean Porter, it's Errol Spence that is really pressing the action here, that's taking the fight to Garcia, and he's the one that looks like he's winning the fight.
And Angel said, look, don't give him so much respect, right? So he's asking him to get in there closer.
Oh, right, he understands what he's looking at right now.
Yeah, the size difference, the height difference really makes a matter difference as well, because, with Errol's throwing that jab, and Danny boxing against a guy that's a great jabber, plus he's taller and he throws a lot of punches, it's kind of difficult for Danny to really focus on what he needs to do. What he needs to do is really come back with the punches like his father was saying. Don't give him those free shots. Don't step back too much. Better off step into the side, which he did.
And Errol Spence Lennox makes that so difficult. He's so active. That jab is long, it's strong, it's snappy. There it is right there, bouncing off the head of Danny Garcia. And at any moment, he will throw that left hand to the body. There it is, a good uppercut as well. Then Spence is #1 in the welterweight division in punches per round. Punches landed per round, jabs landed, power punches.
And body punches.
Yeah, he is #1. His accuracy in his body shots, also #1 in a star-studded division. But yet you see punches landed 43-35. That's not a wide margin. Garcia tries with the right hand. Spence comes firing right back. Excellent work rate by Errol Spence. Right hand was blocked. And that to the body. Garcia stays active. Let's go to the corner of the champion.
Listen, when you throw the jab, don't push it out there. Keep it popping. Don't get too comfortable with it, all right? Keep shooting the stick. And listen, step up and start shooting at number 5 and number 6 or number, I don't know.
All right, about 5.
Listen. No, it gotta be 6. Listen, keep that stick popping, right? And then listen, you're looking for the jab, start sneaking that hook around the side. You gotta shovel to him, or you gotta throw a wild one of the two. You make the decision. Well, listen, also when you get on the side, you make the move. So just step around, don't shoot the shot when you're there. Step around and hit him on the side, all right? You're making him dip down, so when you shoot the shot when you get to the side. Don't shoot the shot over his head, all right? So I think like 6. 6 is 6.
This is towards the end of the round, if I'm not mistaken. This is a little looper around the guard of Spence that landed. Then he goes back down to the belly and hits him really solid. I mean, he's got to do more of that if he wants to, win rounds here, because right now Spence is outworking him.
Yeah, but it's amazing, Joe, to me, with the CompuBox numbers are always so widely in favor of Errol Spence, even against Sean Porter, where Porter was throwing bombs. But the punch differential, the last 3 rounds has been by 1 punch. 8-7, 10-9, 13-12. And that means Garcia is in this fight. Now, that doesn't mean everything.
I mean, you can see the numbers, but when you're watching the fight, you're calculating who's winning.
Yeah, but also, look, Garcia's landing those shots, Joe, is what I'm saying. He's landing meaningful shots.
I know that, but I'm just saying, you can make an estimation by the end of the round who won that round, whether you look at a punch stat or not, can't you?
Absolutely. But what I'm saying is normally, even in a close round, like against Sean Porter, that's a good hard left hand on Garcia. Spence would have this wide discrepancy. I mean, he just outlands everybody. And here Garcia is able to stay in the fight. Now, I don't know if he's taken any rounds, and I think Spence is getting the better of it. But Garcia is very much in this. At least by the CompuBox, that's a little, the punches landed. It's a bit surprising.
Yeah, well, the judges aren't privy to the punch stat numbers, so they have to actually make an opinion-based scoring.
Right, but wouldn't that favor the puncher, right? And it's a good hard shot by Garcia.
I think that favors Spence, because if you're a judge looking at this, it looks like Spence is winning round after round. Okay?
I don't disagree with you.
All right.
But I'm saying some of the harder shots are being landed by the counter-punching of Danny Garcia.
I agree, and he's just whistled right back.
And there's 2 right there that just landed from Garcia. Lennox, bail us out.
Yeah, no, they're attacking the body very well. I mean, both guys are scoring points. And, I think, great combination by Spence right there. Danny needs to move that head a little bit.